They don't see this as like ah, man, I would really like this to pass. It would be really cool if this passed. They think that this is a political necessity, and this is the only way they could get it done, Anna.
Good morning, I'm Anna Palmer.
And I'm Jake Sherman.
And welcome to the Daily Punch, brought to you by Punchbowl News. It's Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. Let's get into the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the day. Number one, the GOP divide on healthcare. Number two, a big Punchbowl News scoop on a White House executive order on defense contractors. And more is reverberating through the industry and on Capitol Hill. And number three, we've got some news, a confrontation about a possible redistricting plans at a Virginia delegation meeting. All right, Jake, let's get to it. It is a jam-packed Punchbowl News AM edition this morning. Starting off with the storyline that is dominating Capitol Hill, and in particular, the Republican storyline here over whether or not to extend the Obamacare health subsidies. We saw this on display yesterday during the Rules Committee hearing, and just the division you have between House Republican leadership, Speaker Mike Johnson not wanting to extend these subsidies, and moderates who very much want to.
Let's say this. Okay, Mike Johnson and the Republican leadership don't want to extend the subsidies. Okay, they believe Democrats are at fault for the rise in healthcare costs. They think their bill should absolve them of all responsibility for rising healthcare costs. That's their view. They don't feel like they could put anything on the floor dealing with extending the Obamacare premium subsidies. Now, on the other side, moderates believe they need to do this. And they've come to a crossroads. Basically, Brian Fitzpatrick, Mike Lawler, Jen Kiggins, David Valadao, and more. They are not getting a vote. They went back and forth with the leadership all day, all week, all weekend. They have not gotten anywhere. Okay, so right now they have basically one option: sign a discharge petition. There is a clean 3-year discharge petition that Hakeem Jeffries has that has 214 signatures. Any combination of 4 Republicans would put it over the finish line and would send it to the Senate. Now, the argument against this is, well, it already failed in the Senate. A 3-year failed in the Senate. Only 4 Republicans voted for it. If it passes the House, I think it's going to be a much different thing, especially if it passes the House in January.
And there's definitely more than 4 Republicans in the mix to potentially sign on to this petition, Jake. I mean, that's the thing that I think if you're leadership, if you're talking to leadership and you're in that those kinds of conversations, it's not as if they've have a good track record of holding off their members from signing these discharge petitions.
And by the way, why would you? Why would you listen to your leadership at this point? And I'm not, this isn't a criticism of the leadership, but the leadership and the rank and the moderates here have 2 very different political incentives. Mike Johnson is against extending the subsidies. He believes it's bad policy. He believes it's bad politics. He's the speaker. His leadership team does not believe in it. And by the way, most House Republicans are with Johnson. They don't want to extend these subsidies. They believe their bill, very narrowly targeted, just includes a few healthcare provisions, should absolve them of all rising cost issues. Do I think it's going to? No, of course not. They've already passed these policies. This is all warmed over stuff that they've passed in the past. What is your option if you are a moderate Republican at this point? You have no option but to sign the discharge petition. They don't see this as like ah, man, I would really like this to pass. It would be really cool if this passed. They think that this is a political necessity. And this is the only way they could get it done, Anna. That's what they think at this point.
Well, I mean, they've tried other options. I think the thing, if you're a moderate Republican, right, like they have gone to leadership. They have argued their case. They have gone up to the Rules Committee. I mean, they have done everything in their power to try to kind of raise alarm bells to say, this is where we are. We need help on this issue. We need a vote on this issue.
Yep.
And they have been rejected at every turn. So, I mean, big picture, if you think about what's happening right now with House Republicans, think about the fact you had this months-long government shutdown. You have the fact that Johnson decided to keep members of the House out of session, which we, I think both were fairly critical of. And I think we are starting to see what happens, the manifestation after that, right? Members are fed up. They are looking at November 2026 and saying, am I going to get reelected or not? And for these moderates, a lot of them won districts that Donald Trump did not win in 2024. So
Yeah.
You're looking at your own political imperative to say, okay, what's happening and how is this leadership setting me up for success or not? And the fact that you had these special elections that did not go well for Democrats. I mean, there's a lot of kind of data points here that suggest if you're a moderate, you're going to be making decisions based on your own political future, not necessarily on, what Mike Johnson says is like, hey guys, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, completely agreed. So this vote's going to, I mean, most likely be this week today in the House. The underlying bill, the healthcare bill, I don't think is in any trouble. The mods seem completely fine with passing it and whatever. And I think that they say, well, listen, it's not going to do much. The Senate's not going to pass it. It's warmed over policy, so we might as well vote for it. There's no reason to not vote for it. But, the interesting thing will be signing this discharge. And it will ripen in January. The leadership could, if it reaches 218, could decide to just give it a vote today. I don't think that'll happen, but I guess I could be surprised. And that's where we are.
All right, Jake, let's go to the number 2 story of the morning. The White House is prepping an executive order with potentially widespread implications for the defense contracting sector. And we're getting our first senses here now of how it's all playing as we scooped. Yesterday, the evolving order could limit stock buybacks, dividends, and executive compensation for military contractors. Multiple sources told us this scoop reverberated yesterday in the defense world on Capitol Hill. You had a bunch of other news organizations following us on this. And now we're going to see how this plays, right? I mean, this is a big, if they move forward with it, this will be a massive, massive change and potentially could be a big issue for some of the defense prime contractors.
Huge. This administration seems to have a bone to pick, let's say, with defense primes, right? They are not terribly concerned about plummeting stock prices or anything like that. They're limiting the proposed EO, which I think people in the administration are trying to stop, of course, could limit stock buybacks, dividends, and executive compensation for military contractors. This is part of the overall back and forth between the administration, Anna, and some of these and defense primes and the startups, right? I mean, this is like a new age battle in Washington that, we've not seen anything like this before. I mean, this administration is taking big umbrage with these large contractors, and they think, Trump has said basically they feel like they're ripping off the government, et cetera, et cetera. What do you think of this whole back and forth?
Yeah, listen, I think this is why we are going into defense policy coverage, right?
Correct.
This to me is
not just this story. We hope to write more stories.
This is one of the key storylines that just showcases the tension lines behind the administration, the Hill, the kind of emerging kind of players in the defense world. I also reminds me, a little bit of it, it's not the same, but it reminds me how I feel like Democrats in 2008 were really making big pushes on executive compensation for the big bank CEOs. Remember? That was one of the big storylines for Democrats and trying to kind of hold the feet to the fire of these executives in the financial services industry. Similar tactic here, but in a very different, for a very different industry.
Yep, exactly. And this impacts the Hill, obviously, too, right? Because many of these defense primes have massive, facilities, huge employee, workforces in districts across the country. So it's very interesting. And I'm very proud of Brianna and Anthony for landing this big scoop.
All right, that's one of the number 3 story of the morning. Jake, things got hot in a Virginia delegation meeting when Representative Rob Whitman, the Republican from Virginia, confronted Virginia Democratic Governor-elect Abigail Spanberger on Tuesday in a tense exchange over Virginia Democrats' mid-decade redistricting plans. Per multiple sources in the room, this is fascinating because we're really giving you a peek behind the curtain of how members are kind of frustrated about this effort that was started by the Trump administration and now is kind of carried on state by state by state, and Democrats looking to match Republicans' efforts. This could be a problem for Whitman.
Yes, Whitman, and remember, Whitman was elected first in 2006. So this is somebody who has been on Capitol Hill for a very long time. He could see his district just disappear, along with Jen Kiggins and John McGuire, 2 newly elected Republican members. The Democrats are trying to turn Virginia into a 10-1 state, 10 Dems, 1 Republican, which is, that is a big change from where they are right now, which is 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans, which they believe suits the state better. Whitman pointed that out, but Spamberger said she won 8 of the state's 11 districts during her blowout victory last month. And listen, Democrats have said, we didn't start this, but we're going to finish it, which is kind of a way of saying, like, this is not something that we wanted to do. This is Republicans started this push by redistricting in Texas, and Democrats say we're not going to let them get away with this without doing our own set of redistricting. So great scoop by Allie and Brez, and again, shows that tension between Republicans and Democrats on redistricting.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Thanks so much for listening. We appreciate it. If you like the Daily Punch, share it on social media, tell your friends. It's the best way to find out about us. And of course, go deeper on all these issues and more by signing up for our free morning newsletter at punchbowl.news. Have a great day and stay safe, everybody.